Hello, I'm Langston, and I'm back today on my channel, Military Election Forecasting. Today, I'm going to be talking about the most recent topics that took place this week in politics. So first, all the other Republican candidates practically saying that they would pardon Donald Trump for his recent indictments, and this is a very controversial topic because what it does is it kind of alienates a lot of the more moderate Republican base while still not being able to garner the Trump base. So for other Republicans, it's a very difficult situation to handle because you have to realize the Mitt Romney base was a losing coalition as well. So even though the moderate Republican base is a powerful base, they're not enough of the electorate to win, clearly, as we saw with Republicans losing with Republicans prior to Donald Trump and with, the rise of Trumpism as well. So for Republicans trying to put together a coalition, a victorious coalition, is something that you've seen them struggle with for 30 years now. So with that, it just shows the difficult situation you're in and the things they're dealing with. Second things I want to talk about is with Gavin Newsom, who had a pretty decent debate performance. Most people even said, even from the right wing perspective, we debated Sean Hannity on just about issues about the country as well. And I want to say that Gavin Newsom has always been a pretty good debater, but Gavin Newsom is an underperformer. Like, he's only won California by 19, 20, 23 points. This is a state that Democrats win by, roughly 30 points. So, he hasn't performed too well statewide. So again, I do want to point out that Gavin Newsom might have a lot of energy behind him, but, people ramping him up to be a really good Democratic candidate is something that, many people can't necessarily, you have to really take with a grain of salt. Again, I want to talk about Ron DeSantis' approval collapsing because, this verifies what I said a couple weeks back about why Ron DeSantis is overestimated. I literally called all of these things out weeks in advance because I saw this happening. I knew this was going to happen, and it did. So again, Ron DeSantis' approval has fallen dramatically. He's now approved by a negative of 19 points, with 55% of 55% of respondents disapproving of him. The data shows that he has an 85% disapproval amongst African Americans, as well as a 68% of disapproval amongst Hispanic Latino voters, as well as 62% disapproval amongst women and a 63% disapproval amongst young voters. These are all things that I talked about, in my video, because I do want to point out, people, before I dissect this, that, having a negative 19% approval is not that bad in a swing state. You have to realize Florida is a very competitive swing state. So, this is not the same as a president, it's not the same as a presidential approval because, we're talking about one state. We're not talking about nationwide. And obviously, Florida is a lot more ground zero when it comes to talking about politics. So being that unpopular in a swing state is not that necessarily a bad thing, because obviously we've seen this with a lot of candidates in swing states. Like, for example, Tony Avers was unpopular in Wisconsin and he still was able to win. Same thing for, numerous others. So being unpopular in a swing state is not that bad, because these are states that have a realistic, these are states that are very split down the middle. So I do want to, give him that benefit of the doubt. But what is really bad, I think the worst thing of this is a 68% disapproval amongst Hispanic Latino voters, because these are the voters that, shifted in Ron DeSantis' favor and won him his governorship, that even in 2018, where you saw Democrats underperform Hillary Clinton's margins and with Hispanic Latino voters in 2018. And that's one of the main reasons that Ron DeSantis got elected in the first place. So for him to be losing rapid ground amongst that demographic is something that would have a very negative impact on his presidential campaign nationwide. Because many people think that he has a chance to flip states like Arizona, Nevada, which I said I don't realistically think he has a chance at winning. And the evidence that disproves, backs that up, shows that, those are states where that demographic would matter the most. And in places like Texas as well. And when you don't have a great approval rating amongst Hispanic Latino voters, it's clearly not going to help you on a nationwide campaign. This African American 85% disapproval, I already knew this was going to happen. Ron DeSantis has done a lot of things that have really targeted Black people in Florida, at least how it's been perceived. So, the black community coming together and coalescing against opposing him, which is something was bound to happen, is going to have a very negative impact on him in these Rust Belt cities like Detroit, like Philadelphia, like Milwaukee, as well as Georgia and North Carolina, where the black voters are, the prime Democratic voting bloc in all of those states. So again, that's a major impact, as well as having a 63% disapproval amongst younger voters, which is something I said would also happen because when you target the LGBT community with certain legislation, the 1834 demographic is the most LGBT electorate that we've seen in American history, at least openly LGBT electorate. And a lot, even people that aren't openly LGBT, they have LGBT friends. And when they see certain policies like that, even if, I don't think not necessarily Ron DeSantis was specifically trying to do how people perceived what he was trying to do, it turns, people that aren't even LGBT, they have family, they have friends that are LGBT, and they think about those voters when they go to the polls. And with that, they think about their family members, they think about, their friends. And, when you're asking to vote against things they think that don't help their friend's life, that has a major impact on that, as well as him signing a 6-week abortion bill, which is something that you see is not playing too well with women voters as well. 62% disapproval amongst women, which is something I brought out, which is what cost Republicans the Senate in the midterm elections. So with that, Ron DeSantis is proving what I said about being an overestimated candidate. A lot of people think that Ron DeSantis is this perfect candidate to win, and I really disagree with that. So another topic I want to bring on to is Cornell West really starting to attack Joe Biden. And this is something that is, like I said, Joe Biden's biggest challenge. And you're seeing Fox News bring him on now. Republicans really need to use Cornell West if they want to take out Joe Biden, because as of now, it's not really biased to say, but Republicans do not have an advantage electorally. If Democrats and Republicans both vote, Democrats will win because it's more people in cities and suburbs and rural areas. So for Republicans to win, like what happened to Donald Trump back in 2016, they need to split the Democratic vote or have Joe Biden's base, in particular Black voters and young voters, as well as Hispanic and Latino voters, not show up to the polls, or, split the vote to win. That's how Republicans are going to be able to win. So a head-to-head matchup with Joe Biden and Donald Trump, unless Joe Biden loses substantial vote from his base, which isn't impossible, Republicans are not going to win. So again, you've seen Democrats actually start attacking Cornel West, like people from the Biden administration, Gavin Newsom. A lot of people have actually addressed Cornel West. And it's something you haven't seen. Like, people treat Marianne Williamson and Robert F. Kennedy like they don't even exist. But Cornel West is actually getting mainstream attention from, you know, all media sites. If you Google him, like, there's an article about him from every perspective because he hurts Joe Biden the most. And his specific attention to Black voters in particular is something that is a major threat for Joe Biden in 2024. And you've seen he sent Kamala Harris to have a rally for Black voters, and obviously this is Juneteenth weekend, so that has a very big impact on that as well. But realistically, Cornel West jumping in the race is no coincidence that, Democrats are having all of these Black voter rallies, because Democrats need the Black vote to win, period. Absolutely, period. And the exit polls show that, history shows that. Hillary Clinton had to learn that the hard way, as well as Terry McAuliffe back in 2021. So without strong turnout from that demographic, Democrats don't realistically have a chance at winning re-election or winning at all. And with that, even in places like Virginia, very solid Democratic states, they need this demographic more than anything. If Cornel West, being able to split votes amongst a demographic is the biggest way for Joe Biden to lose re-election. And even though Cornel West is unlikely to pick up streaming, Democrats are probably going to succeed in being able to tear him down before he's even able to get his campaign off the ground. He does pose a massive threat to Democrats, and people understand that. The media is seeing that, everyone's paying attention to that. And for Donald Trump or Ron DeSantis, that would be their best choice, best look as of now. So again, that's just all of the major political topics that have happened so far, as well as Donald Trump also pleading not guilty to his indictments, which was something that we all knew was going to happen. So with that, you saw Ron DeSantis become significantly more popular. You saw Gavin Newsom reach out to the other side of the aisle and have a debate, as well as Republicans say they're going to pardon Donald Trump, as well as Democrats really hammering these third-party candidates to try to get the whole Democratic base behind them. So again, that's all the most interesting political topics for this video. Thank you guys so much for tuning into my channel, and make sure to have a great Juneteenth weekend. Goodbye, you guys.